So, what do you guys expect from this next expansion? If this is the end, do y'all want a new class, a new race, revamps? I mean, I think if it is going to go to the model of a year expansion with two raid, you know, like only like a two-tier raid patch or whatever, I want first of all a cheaper expansion price and a cheaper monthly price. Because unless they're going to come out with more content in those patches, I feel like WoW is getting not too expensive, but I mean, if they didn't really even put out the amount of content they have done ever, and if this is going to be the new standard, I don't see myself paying for this type of, price. So let's go with you, Mogwin. What do you think?
Well, okay. Okay, if they can do 1 year expansions with two raid tiers in each expansion, to me, that's actually a better value. Now you actually get more raids, per your subscription costs, even though it's, less raids per expansion cost. But it's overall, to me, it's a better value. But it has to be a 1 year expansion. Um, can they do that? I don't know. I mean, they'd have to maybe if they're working on technology for testing their product quicker and more accurately so that they don't need as long in alpha and beta so that they can put the stuff out quicker. Like maybe they can use artificial intelligence like bots and stuff like that to do some of this testing, which I don't see why not. I mean, shoot, there's a lot of you hear about people who come up with bots to play this game for them to farm stuff, and Blizzard doesn't find out about it except that somebody in the game notices some strange behavior. So there are things that can play this game without human hands on the keyboard. All right,
Yep.
Blizzard could utilize that to test their stuff faster and put the game out faster. Um, I don't see why they couldn't do that. I think we could get a better value if they would do that.
So in the expansion, then what would you want, like features wise?
You know me, I just love the raids. I mean, I enjoy it. Like, I haven't really seen a story that I didn't enjoy in this game, uh, and stuff. I'm just, it's not as big a deal to me as it is for some other people. But I just want continued good rating. I think I I I would like if you're gonna do two raids, I think that at least 10 bosses in the first raid and probably 12 to 15 bosses in the second raid. That's what I want. And I also want, like, a quiet, like, I don't know, I'm thinking at least 8 dungeons. So there's a lot of different dungeons to do. Lots of different dungeon bosses with, hey, maybe you can start putting some of those old raid mechanics, in the dungeons, so that there's,
Old raid
stuff
bosses.
yeah, or maybe even old raid bosses. I don't know, just plenty of raid and dungeon content, different difficulties, just kind of like, I mean, they're kind of doing that right now, and I like that.
All right, and Neo, what about you?
I mean, for me, the logical next step for the expansion, if they're not going to really add much else new, is pretty much make any race, any class. Troll paladins, Tauren
Ooh,
rogues. I mean, that's the only
Oh,
really
definitely.
unless
Forsaken
they
paladins,
unless they
make
introduce
it happen.
like I don't see how they could do a whole new class or sub races for character models like brown orcs or something, or uh, like different kinds of mixing classes like we were talking about the other day, battle mages or ranger hunters or shadow hunters kind of a thing. It's really only a kind of thing, unless they change a lot of different other things. That's what I really think for me would be the next logical step. And that'd be kind of a cool thing to see. I mean, story-wise, I've not ever had a complaint about the story. I like it. Even if the gameplay mechanics aren't that great, I still like, killing the Shaw of Pride, going after Garrosh, fighting Deathwing. It wasn't the greatest of fights, but hey, we got a story out of it, and I like that. But for me, features-wise, the next step, opening up all the classes to all the combos and everything, I think, really, I like it. And for me, I don't really know how I like homogenizing classes. Like, originally, only shamans could level us. Now we have pets that could do it, or mages.
Yeah, I'm too crazy about that.
It's cool. It's cool because you can take different classes for a different raid comp. You don't have to have a shaman if you cannot get a shaman. You know what I mean? But you can pretty much make a DK and a paladin do the exact same things. They're just called different things. They're not really. I have diseases, but he has like censure for a red paladin. There's a lot of different homogenizing of different things because, well, I want to do what a DK can do, so I'm going to give this priest a life grip to be able to do that to allies. Or I want to float, so I'm going to slow fall with my boomkin because they've got wings and they can flap. I kind of like
that. Makes perfect sense, though.
That's that's what I'm saying. That's kind of my thing on everything.
Well, me and Zara talk all the time about, features and stuff like that. And the one thing when he said this, it made me really realize, like, wow, that is definitely freaking needed, is vanilla classes revamps. Like Paladin, like Hunter, Rogue, Mage. Like, get rid of everything that we've had since the beginning and give us all new spells and abilities. Like, and it's because maybe I play a hunter and I've been looking at these same abilities for many, 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 many years, and I just feel like, okay, like they want to simplify this game down to the freaking bone, so give us something different. You know what I mean? Like I feel. Well, Zara, you can go ahead and you can tell it like you told me. So.
Well, that was just one thing I was spitting off. I don't think they'd ever necessarily revamp, and a lot of people wouldn't want to see complete revamps. I think the way I was kind of originally intending it, like maybe take the class, whatever class you're doing at first, and get rid of everything. Get rid of the spell books, the talents, everything, and then come up with something new. And as you're kind of coming up and like, okay, this is going to work, grabs a few of the old things and kind of throw them back in there in maybe a different way to make it feel a little better. Also with maybe, they've been adding fourth specs to the game with, we've covered this once before with the druids got it. The warriors are most likely going to have an official fourth spec come the next expansion with Gladiator. If they don't, I think that would just be stupid. Maybe more fourth specs for people to get a little more freshness to classes. Uh, Even though the reason they don't do too many, like how Neo was saying, he would like the, all races can be all classes type deal. A lot of the reasons they try not to do it is for lore wise, but then they change things or whatever. But I definitely think that should be something. You shouldn't have to be, a troll or a tauren to become a druid. Why can't you be an orc? And for how he commented on the subclasses, like sub-races, that is definitely something doable fresh, but maybe you can, instead of like being a whole nother race with like, completely, you pick orc. And then once you pick orc, you can be a green orc, a brown orc, a dark orc, a
Red orc.
iron, whatever, red, yeah, you know what I mean? And go from there. That would be something, we need a little bit of freshness. I think definitely some freshness would be in order. And, that is something I think is simple to do to add freshness. It's, it's shaders, maybe throw a little story, a little lore behind it to, why this happens now or whatever. But, those are a few things. And when it comes to like the next expansion, there's a whole bunch of stuff I'd like to see, of course. A lot of stuff visually, which they have been working on, because even Blizzard knows that, this game is, 10 years old, Pretty much every, game that is made, whether it's a console, computer, RPG, MMO, first-person shooter, fighting game, the graphics are beyond wow. Like, WoW can't hold a candle to them, and that's just running off the old engine. The way the world is set up with a complete open world to jack graphics up to the standards of modern MMOs. The system requirements would be ridiculous. So, maybe they could add load zones, instances, compared to what side of the, Earth you're on or whatever to up them if they ever decide to do that. But who knows with that? Uh, I think they need to start adding more into the game. For player wise and what they've been doing. I don't just mean like new stuff like garrisons or whatnot. I'm talking about they take weapon slots away. Maybe we need to wear more gear. Maybe, we need to have earrings too. Maybe we need to have a third trinket, bring relics back. Maybe weapons should have sheaths on them. And then you can have weapons that are sets with a sword and sheath and they do more damage or something like that, Like that's what I'm talking about. Like we need more, not less.
There needs to be a uniqueness. WoW used to have
Absolutely.
uniqueness to it in the past, and then all of that just pretty much went out the wayside, and it's just like, now with like the free legendaries, pretty much as long as you do your stuff every week, you get a legendary. Like, I don't see that being a legendary. Just make that an artifact then. Make that an
Mm,
artifact
I mean,
weapon,
I,
or
I could I could make that argument that I really hated patches where I'm a Death Knight and the casters get a legendary, and I'm like, oh well, I guess I'm shit out of luck for a legendary, and they get all the cool stuff. And then like Fireland, Dragon Soul, Cataclysm was a good example. The legendary in Firelands, caster staff only. Well, okay, I'm a DK, I can't do shit with that. That's cool. They get
then we got
something.
daggers.
And then we got daggers, which I also couldn't use. So there's another raid tier I couldn't do anything with. And so I'm sitting there. Maybe they're not as cool as they were used to be because I mean it's a cloak, but you get bonuses from the cloak and you get bonuses from this ring, and it's an interesting aspect of what they're doing with the final version of the legendary ring. But I'm on the side of being able to let anybody get a legendary because everybody should be allowed the opportunity and the experience. But I mean that's kind of why I'm a little bit biased because I don't like sitting in a raid patch and watching somebody else get a legendary and I'm not able to do the same thing with it.
I agree with Neo. Uh, I think that the legendary should be a little more involved. I
Hmm.
don't know if that's the right word, but like instead of us all getting a ring, maybe we should all get a legendary unique to our
Oh,
class.
well, so that was the thing. At the very beginning of the expansion, I think if it was, I don't know if it was a BlizzCon before or whatever, they had said the legendary ring, the legendary was going to be something cool, like
Yeah,
your
did say
weapon.
that.
It did say like, hey, you can have a legendary fist claw weapon. Hey, you can have a legendary staff. Hey, you can have a legendary shield. And we all thought about this, all these crazy possibilities about, dude, we could each have our own specific legendary to us, kind of
Yeah.
a thing.
Absolutely. An
Hey,
axe, a
now a
sword, a
ring.
shield, a
Yeah.
staff.
Yeah, a ring is kind of mundane. I agree with that. However, that proc on that ring and the way you have to use it to weave that into your strategy for your fight, I think is kind of cool. I
It's
like
certainly
that.
unique, yeah.
It is unique, but it's not unique. Why? Because every caster has the exact same ring.
Oh
Whether
shit.
you're a shadow priest, a warlock, an elemental shaman, a mage, the hunters, the enhancement shamans, it's identical. It's got the same name. You know what I mean? I'm talking about like you're a warlock, you have like a legendary set of shoulders that are demon wings that reduce
Yeah.
fall damage, and they reduce damage you take, and they increase damage you do, and they
Yeah.
increase your metamorphosis time or something like that, or make it more powerful. If you're a priest, you have a legendary healing staff or something like that. If you're a mage, you have a like maybe a legendary sword, or and offhand, like they come as a set. They equal the same as if you had a two-handed thing, but they come as two, because obviously your main hand, offhand. If you're a warrior, it's legendary shield. If you're a fury warrior, it's a giant legendary two-handed axe or something like that. Something of that sort, I think, was what we were kind of all hoping for and expecting, and we got a ring that you can't even see. At least the cloak had a little proc thing that looked neat. but whatever.
Well, apparently there is going to be a kind of thing that's going to happen to our bodies. It's like this
You get
bubble.
surrounded in like a bubble shield or some shit. Yeah, it's alright.
It's sort of stupid, but
I mean, I like the cloak wings. Those were cool. I liked, every so often,
yeah, me
like,
too.
the cloak procs would be like there, and I'd be like, that's kind of cool looking.
But go ahead, Zara.
It just reminded me when we were talking about this legendaries, like they said, obviously legendary ring, but didn't they say they were gonna put in a legendary, like another one that like the way the
They
conventional raid like
they did.
legendaries work, like the staff and the daggers. So if we haven't seen that and they haven't commented on whether it's gonna happen or not, that I know of at least, maybe there's a chance legendary in the next secret raid content that they're holding back on us
Maybe.
because
hmm
I
And
mean
see, I always kind of thought that, like, okay, so this ring is you're going to be able to upgrade it to item level, what,
It's 795.
695, which is
795.
excuse me, 795.
795. Good God.
That's 60 item levels higher than, or almost like, I don't know, 50 some odd item levels higher than the highest piece of gear you can get from a
In the
raid.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, which is that's much higher than the cloak, out itemized the stuff
Well, I mean,
in Siege of Ogre.
almost, because the cloak you could replace by Nagram, but you could easily keep it until level
Level
98.
100. You
Yeah,
can keep it to
100.
level 100. I mean,
Yeah.
really, you could. I mean, that proc didn't happen at level 100, but the stats on it were still
Yeah, you
pretty
didn't
good.
Yeah.
you didn't have to replace it until you got a 630 cloak out of the heroic dungeons. You did not have to replace the cloak.
yeah, but what Ben is trying to say is in Mist in the end the item level difference wasn't as much of a gap as the ring and our current item level is going to be.
Yeah.
And, that's not saying like, oh, well, it's intended for you to bring it, into the next expansion. Because if that's the reason, that's just stupid, So there's another hint at maybe like that's what the next raid tier is going to be, 795, and Mythic will be 800 or something like that. But I mean, like whatever his name was that did that pseudo interview where they claimed or hinted. I don't even think it was an official, this is going to be. It was kind of like a hint at like, this is probably going to be the last raid patch and whatever. It's still 50-50. Until, the Ian guy or whoever comes out and says, nope, that's it, we're done, good luck, you know, we can't say this is the end, because we don't make that decision. They do.
hmm
Yeah.
The only
Well,
other... Or go ahead, sir.
no, I was closing it up already. I mean, you go ahead and say something.
I mean, the only other thing on closing, really, that I can think of that really kind of defends this whole thing is we're veteran players. We've been at this game for so long. So, I mean, we can
9+ years.
we can blaze through content really fast. So it may not be a lot of content for us because it's the same things with a different skin on it. But like one of my friends just joined with my wife, and all this was new to her. Everything was new. Everything was cool looking. Everything was new. The mounts were cool. Started a troll lobby. They went to the first starting zone, and they spent like a good hour or two there because they were exploring and seeing all the new stuff because they'd never seen any of this stuff before. But it's all not as impressive to us because we've seen all the old stuff and we've seen it for years, and it's not entirely different. But I mean, that's kind of the thing for me for Blizzard is they're making things more accessible for more people and to try to get more people in the game. And I mean, subs may be going down, but there's still new people trying every day and seeing, well, there's new stuff going on, and they're seeing new stuff that they've never seen before because they've never played World of Warcraft. And I mean, that's the only really thing I really want to say is because we're vets. This is old hat for us. We've seen a lot of this stuff already, so we already know how to burn through a lot of content really fast. But
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, like, you've mentioned we've all of us have kind of mentioned some of the complaining that goes on in the forums, and I've often kind of wondered that, so Blizzard is every gaming company out there is chasing Blizzard. Blizzard's out in the front, and they need to kind of they want to take Blizzard down a little bit so that it's a little bit easier for them to make profit. And what they need is for the players that played Blizzard games to stop playing the Blizzard games so that they can play their games. So I've also often wondered how many of the people who complain in the forums aren't working for those other industry companies.
I
I know
don't
it's
know
kind of
about
a
that.
tinfoil hat thing and kind of a
Yeah.
conspiracy thing, but it makes sense to me. So that's all I'm going to say.
Are the transistors still on the cake for you, Ben?
Yes.
CIA still,
Yeah, absolutely.
Those who ever go to Mogwin's house, you just get a driveway and a mailbox. Look for the manhole cover.
Yes.
pretty much.
Stomp 3 times, hold, then twice. Then you get a little telescope pop out of the ground.
Yeah.
And then, what do you want?
Just leave it on
We
the
ain't
curb.
buying it.
Just leave it on the curb. Go away.
Oh my god. Okay, well, does anyone else have anything to say regarding anything?
No.
Well, I really want to appreciate you guys and helping me make this video for my subscribers and just giving you all's input. My only closing thoughts on it is I really hope that Blizzard doesn't rush this next expansion. I don't want to hear that they were foiling and trying to like scrape up whatever ideas they had. I want them to have a plan, and I want this next expansion to be fun even after the questing experience. I wanted to have the same experience I had questing as well as endgame. And I feel like Blizzard did a good job in gating the story off in Mists. Why couldn't they do that here? You know, and I feel like, you know, we brought up a lot of good ideas and a lot of good points. And I don't know, Blizzard, if you're listening to this, please just don't botch this next expansion as far as endgame. You did a great job in the beginning, but just keep that momentum going. And if it takes, like I said, if it takes a year for you to give us a great expansion from beginning to end, then take that year. Because the last thing you need again is another mishap on a brand new expansion. So, Ben, did you have anything to add?
I'm good. I
All right,
think I've
Neil?
said it all.
No, sir.
Zara?
Of course.
All right, closing Zara thoughts. Go.
One of the things that I'm a little nervous is maybe Blizzard's, you know, we've all seen, you know, behind the scenes of making games. I recently watched, I think, it was behind the scenes of The Last of Us at Naughty Dog, and it seemed like an awesome place to work. Everyone feeding off each other, sound guys talking to the graphic guys, giving them ideas even though they have nothing to do with what the graphic guys are doing. You know, everyone seemed to enjoy themselves. Maybe Blizzard's got too corporate. And I ain't just talking like, you know, where they're counting money. I'm talking about like in the game studio, you know? Like it's a big office space. They got 3 bosses and they better have their report done by Friday or they're going to get, you know, a written up referral. Maybe that's what it's turned into. Now I'm serious, you know, and people are
I
just
know.
there going, you know, man, I just put out one fucking game and as soon as I have that one game under my title, I can get the fuck out of here and go somewhere else where I don't have this fucking guy in a suit and tie asking me if, you know, I got the fucking TPS reports done on time and did I get the memo, you know, talk to personnel shit, you know, like with them getting big, a lot of that may have happened, you know, like that's one of the things I'm worried. And if that's what happens, and if that's what it is, there is no drive there because people aren't going to be happy in a place like that. Because when you need to have a report done every Friday and you need to meet a weekly goal set by some manager that was brought in to make sure you meet weekly goals, and that's his entire purpose in life, and you know that, you know, why would you want to be there? You know, people gaming, I don't care what anyone says, and making of games is an art form, just like making movies, making paintings, making sculptures, writing books. And when you try to corporatize art, the art goes away. You know?
I, wow.
Well
I
said.
attest that. I attest to that big time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel for anything hunter related or just, campfire discussions such as this one. I really want to appreciate all the guests that I had with me today. So Mogwin, Neo, Sarah, thank you so much for helping me out.
Glad to be here.
So like I said, guys, like and subscribe if you like this video, and I will see you guys later.